Y'all ain't heard nothing like this before. Beat him in the head with this trilogy. Who dropped this for a certain demographic? Turn it up, blast it. This is gonna be a classic. Fact. Not your run of the mill.
Hey, paisanos and gumaras. Welcome to episode 16. We're going to be talking about rats, snitches, confidential informants. We're going to talk about famous snitches with the mob. And then I'm going to tell you how we roll people, how we turn them into confidential informants. It's going to be an interesting episode. Sorry we missed you guys. Buona Natale. Merry Christmas. I hope you guys had a beautiful Christmas with the family. 7 fishes on Christmas Eve. Let's keep the tradition alive. I'm your host, Bobby Bacalao, with my co-host,
Shirtless Mike. What's up, everybody?
So tonight, before we get started into our interesting topics, we're going to talk about cigars for a while. I know we have gone away from talking so much about cigars and talking about other subjects, but we're going to bring back talking about cigars in the very beginning. So I'm going to turn it over to Mike, who is the guru on all cigars, and I'll get him to get it started.
Awesome. Well, tonight we are smoking the Knuckle Sandwich Habano. And if you're familiar with the brand Knuckle Sandwich, Guy Fieri, fellow Paisan chef, he's a big-time celebrity, and, he's got restaurants and everything. So he's actually a real cigar guy, as you know. Some of you out there might know. So he collaborated with Eric Espinosa, and and Eric was like, bro, he's like, I really don't want to do a celebrity cigar because normally when celebrities do it, slap their name on it, doesn't succeed.
Correct.
Well, Guy, he was like, I don't care about all that shit. He was like, we're going to take our time with it and do it right. Like, if my name's going on, it's going to be perfection. So this cigar took, both blends, it took like 2 years for them to complete it and everything. And it's been out for more than a year now, I want to say. And this Habano blend is really good. What do you think of this so far, Bobby?
I actually dig it. I was a little hesitant when you told me this is a cigar we were going to try.
But I made sure it wasn't the one, the one that was too strong. This has a lot of flavor, though.
It has a lot of flavor. I'm trying to.
So the strength, the flavor kind of makes it seem like it has more strength, but it's definitely a solid medium.
Absolutely a solid medium. Very earthy, but there's a flavor I can't make out. I dig it. I just can't make out the flavor. Besides the earth tones, we get
pepper, a little bit of spice in there, but it's not like it's more like
I got a little spice, no pepper on my end. No, it's just my palate's different.
The pepper is a little. It's not so much pepper. You can taste it, but it's not in the forefront.
I dig the presentation.
I mean, it's got.
I like the name.
Yeah, it's got his signature skull with the chef's hat on.
Yeah, no, it's. I mean, the band is cool. The presentation's cool. It's a nice smoke. We both had celebrity cigars before, and I don't think I've been a fan.
I've never encountered one that actually was that good. Normally they're just going to work with a factory. They're just going to put their band on it with their name, but this is way different because Guy's not going to do that. Like, I have not had the opportunity to meet him yet, but I know a lot of people who have gotten to meet him so far, and I just got to be at the right place in the right time, so it's going to happen one day. If you're watching, Guy, or smoking your cigar, brother.
I'm getting some coffee notes.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. It's kind of like a really dark roasted coffee.
Yeah, it's like a dark roast coffee, almost like so a chicory, like that New Orleans coffee, that chicory taste is what I'm getting. Nice burn, super nice even burn. I dig the cigar, so I give Guy an absolute thumbs up, and naturally with Espinosa, everything usually turns out good.
Whole lot of bro shit.
Yeah.
Whole lot of bro shit.
Yeah.
Bro. bro. Shout out to Eric.
Yep. Good people, man.
Oh yeah,
real good people. So yeah, good choice tonight. So
we carry them here at Smoke Ring 72. They're selling pretty quick, so the way that it's selling, I'm gonna make sure I vouch to make sure we keep carrying them because I knew they would sell. So
price point.
I think there's the smallest ones like an $11, $12 range, but they're most like $13 to $15.
Right, so it's not a bad price point.
Yeah.
Good smoke. Not bad.
Yeah. So I mean,
$10.
If it's a quality cigar, I don't mind paying extra.
I mean, if this is an $11 cigar, it's something that you don't mind spending $11 for. It's really not a big price range. But you're getting a hell of a lot of flavor for an $11 cigar. I got to be honest with you. I like the burn.
Yeah,
look at that.
It's
nice
really
and
nice.
even. Dig the burn. So Mike and I spoke, and it's like, all right, every episode we try to smoke something different.
Yeah.
And I always let Mike choose the cigars because he never steers me wrong. You know, I do have some favorites, but, you know, how many times can you go on air and talk about the same cigar?
Yeah.
If anybody out here, including the people in the cigar industry, if you want us to smoke your cigars and do a review, send some our way. Or if our fans want us to smoke something and give a review so they're hesitant in buying, give us some ideas. You know, we'll pull them up. We'll find them. Smoke Rings basically has every cigar here. So it's not an issue on trying to find a cigar. We like to keep our cigar buying here, being that this is our home base and Lou allows us to do the podcast from here. So the majority of our cigars from the show comes from the humidor here. Yep. It's a great size humidor, by the way. You guys they run specials all the time, right? You guys had great Christmas specials.
Yep. Yeah, we still got the star deal going. So any item around the store, if it has a star on it, 20% off. We got Benchmade knives, which Eric is the Benchmade knife king because he actually sold like 3 knives today.
Oh, nice!
Shouts out to my boy Eric.
Yeah, shout out.
I'll tell him later that we gave him a shout out.
Shout out.
But we also got like Fuente short stories, 20 box for 20% off. We got a lot of those boxes that we kind of got stockpiled. So
I like them as well.
Until Boss Man tells us that, that it's over, just get in here while you can within the next couple days.
And listen, if we have any local fans, we do the podcast predominantly on Wednesday nights, like about 5:36. We'd love to have you guys come, hang out with us during the podcast, say hello. And then when we're done with the podcast, we'll smoke a cigar with you, have a glass of vino, have a glass of beer.
So good. I should have brought my matchstick because I've been using my glass at home. So
new Gangster and Cigar beer mugs and wine glasses. If anybody's interested, hit us up. Other from that, I had a great Christmas. You have a good Christmas?
I had a great Christmas. It was awesome. Got some money for Christmas.
Good for you.
Because hell,
money talks.
Money
man.
talks. I got a couple scratch offs. I won $10 on one, and then the other one I ain't win shit. But it is what it is. My mom still got her money's worth because hell, it was $5 scratch offs,
and it's fun to do. So
it's a lot of fun.
So shout out to my kids, to the Caruso kids. They went out, and shout out to Mike's Pro Lids, who makes the baddest ass helmets in the business. So they bought me a fedora, but it's a custom helmet. Mike's Pro Lids. It's one of the coolest helmets I've seen. I can't wait to throw it on when I'm on the bike next. I should have brought it in for you guys to see. But anyway, shout out to the Crusoe kids. Shout out to Mike's Pro Lids. It was a great, great surprise. Very, very cool Christmas present. All right. What else you got before we get into the show?
What else we got? I'm trying to think here. The Christmas was good. Oh, yeah. So New Year's Eve this weekend, We're gonna have a little get together at Smoke Link 72. Nothing like major, we're gonna have a little bit of food earlier. I'm not sure what we're having, but a little bit of light food and everything. Midnight, we're gonna toast for midnight. So if you're watching, you're invited. All that information is on the Smoke Link 72 Facebook and everything. You can check that out and all that good stuff. It's gonna be a lot of fun. So if you don't have anything else, we can.
I've got a party to go to New Year's, which is going to be interesting. So it's the women have to dress in harem attire, men have to dress as sultans. Kind of cool. Kind of looking forward to it. Should be, something different.
Yeah.
And one other shameless plug, and we'll get started. If any of our fans out there have a wedding coming up, a bar mitzvah, a communion, any type of events, my wife's company, Gangster Wives, is a catering and events company. We have an award-winning chef and an award-winning baker that does all our cooking and baking. No event too big or too small. We got a couple of black tie events that's coming up that we are catering. We do themed events. We do steampunk. We do pirates. Anything.
I love it.
You're welcome.
That was the sweetest.
You're welcome. Merry Christmas. So we do any type of events. Believe it or not, I'm an ordained reverend. I can marry you. Can't divorce you, because if I could do that, then it would have saved me a shit ton of money in my past 3 divorces. All right.
I should become an ordained reverend. You can get married by Shirtless Mike.
Shirtless Mike, man. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
So keep that in mind. It's called Gangster Wives. You can go to gangsterwives.com. You can look at our menus. We do everything from ethnic to vegan. Specialty cheesecake. They're award-winning cheesecakes. Shameless plug. All right. Let's talk about the show.
All righty.
Let's talk about rats and snitches. Let's talk about some of the famous mob rats and snitches. Sammy the Bull Gravano.
The number one.
The number one in my book.
Red target on his head.
Gets away with murder after murder after murder. He goes against the code. He was a made man. The only way you're supposed to get out of the family is a morte, right? Is death. He goes against the code. You're never supposed to rat. You're never supposed to go against the family. Any organized crime entity that's out here, they all have the same code.
Yep.
You never rat, you never snitch. And I can tell you thousands of people who have rolled. And we're going to get into that in a minute. So, Sammy, government didn't give a shit how many people he killed. They didn't care if he killed a village. FBI get with him, organized crime division. They want John Gotti, Teflon Don.
Yep.
Got away with everything. The only way they got him was Sammy got pinched. They did him for a murder. He rolls, and he rolls on Gotti. And the result is Gotti gets arrested, goes to prison. You know the rest is history. He drops dead in prison. All right. If some of you remember, it used to be called the Valachi Papers. Joe Valachi. Valachi turns on Lucchese Genovese. He rolls. They nail him. He rolls. He was basically a soldier. Started out as a soldier for the mob, had insight, carried out hits. Valachi had his ear to everything. So when the feds nailed him, he rolls. That's Valachi. That's another famous one. It's called the Valachi Papers. My favorite isn't Sammy the Bull. My favorite is Whitey Bulger.
Yeah,
Whitey was the biggest, one of the most ruthless, baddest bastards in Boston. Ran Boston. But a smart son of a bitch. So now we talk about being rats. or we talk about informants, Bulger was a fucking rat. So Bulger's playing both sides. He's feeding the FBI information. He's an informant, right? He is a paid informant for the feds, as he was one of the biggest gangsters in Boston.
Yep.
He rolls. The feds get him to roll. He starts doing, which is smart, giving up competition. So they're making arrest after arrest, and they're doing the competition in Boston. After he rolls, Bulger's like, fuck this, I'm out. He goes on the lam. I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood. Let me get the exact amount of years. Give me 1 second.
I mean, this guy was definitely on the lam for quite a bit.
I think they got him in 2011. Probably 16 years or so being on the lam. They finally nail him. Goes to prison. What happens to him in prison? They whack the fuck out of him.
Yep.
Payback's a bitch. Whitey gets done in prison. All right, another favorite of mine. And this is like, so everybody's seen Goodfellas. Everybody knows the story of Henry Hill.
Yep.
So Henry Hill and the crew, they do one of the biggest heists at JFK Airport. It was Air France, and I believe the heist was $420,000. Reportedly. They say it was over $1 million. I think reportedly it was $420,000. Henry Hill and the boys trying to keep quiet. Henry Hill starts running and muling cocaine like it's crazy, like it's going out of style. And he had mules working for him, going to Colombia. He had a racket going. Well, DEA caught up with his ass. They nail Hill. What does Hill do? He rolls.
Yep.
Hill rolls on everybody who was involved in the Air France heist. What happened? They all go to prison, or they end up dead.
Yep.
Hill gets out of prison, becomes famous with
Doing
interviews, doing Goodfellas, doing books. You know, and I've seen him
He's a drunk
before.
Irish and Italian bastard.
He is. You know, I've seen him. Actually, he was Jewish and Italian.
Jewish.
So, you know, he does all these interviews, becomes famous, much like what fucking Sammy the Bull is doing.
Yeah.
So Sammy has a huge podcast. I listen to it. Extremely.
I mean, it's
Well
modern history.
done. It's history. It's intriguing. I know Hollywood was talking to him about some books and everything else. And, you know, but think about it. Here's a guy who documented 40 people or more. And in America, we seem to idolize these type of people.
Yeah.
To me, he's a piece of fucking shit. And that's all there is to be said. You can't just murder and then end up making a shit ton of money. So after he flips and he gets the Nomine Padre Santos, Espiritu Santos, he gets waived. He starts running dope with his kid.
Yep.
He ends up getting done for trafficking in ecstasy. Does his time. He's out. The rest, as we say, is history. So now let's take a step back a minute. Us in law enforcement. Me as an investigator with my partners in a different task force that I was in. If you hear a cop talk about an informant or a snitch, you'll hear us say that they are the lowest form of human being. Why do I say that? If an individual is willing to give up friends for years and years and family members to save their ass, they'll lie to you.
Yep.
They'll do you.
They're sneaky.
They'll do anything. Thus the term rat. They crawl on their bellies because that's what they do. Now, a rat and an informant, a little different. I've known informants that had made a shit ton of fucking money infiltrating when law enforcement couldn't, and then rolling on people.
Yeah.
But were paid by the FBI, local and state authorities, and made a shit ton of fucking money. So let's talk about how this all transpires. Let's say that I'm targeting an individual or group of individuals, or a RICO, right? One or more individuals involved in an ongoing criminal entity. I nail Mike. Mike is low on a totem pole. I tell Mike, here's the paperwork. Here's all the arrest affidavits. You could pick from door number 1 or pick from door number 2. I can register you. I can go through either the state attorney's office or the federal district attorney's office and get you registered as a confidential informant. You'd get a registration number, you'd have books, and you'd be underneath the control of the investigator and his partner. Now, we've had no problems, even though we're holding paper on you, to say, we'll give you some cheese to get by while you're doing this. So you're getting paid, but you're rolling on people. But the minute you piss crooked, we're going to grab you, and I'm going to charge you with each and every charge.
Yeah.
Now, it's a dirty game when you're rolling people. Dirty game. Let me bring some to light. Mike has a family and kids. I say to Mike, you understand that because of the crimes you've committed, all I have to do is make a phone call and do what? Take your kids from you.
Yeah.
Pretty simple. Is it a shit move? Absolutely. Is it a shit move by law enforcement? Depends on how you look at it. I'm not interested in Mike. Truly not. But I know that there's certain things that I could do and use that you would probably say, I don't want my kids taken away. Don't take my kids away from my wife.
Yeah.
Or let me wrap this up with a gift boat for you. Mike. So your old lady, girlfriend, wife, whatever. So she knows what the fuck you do. Yeah, she knows. Okay. So I'm going to arrest your girlfriend or your wife for conspiracy because she knows and has knowledge of your criminal doings, and I'm going to put you both in jail. Or that door number 2, that belt, let me just put that carrot in front of you. That door number 2, she don't go to jail. Your kids stay with her. You stay home. You walk the straight and narrow. You do X, Y, and Z for us. This is the individuals we want. You do that, and the charges go away. If, in fact, the charges are so heinous that we're not going to be able to make them completely go away, we'll be able to soften the blow. That's one way. So the task force, FBI has this thing called Queen for a Day. I bring in an individual. Could be a target, it could be somebody who's involved. And we say to them, we're going to give you a pass. You can tell us about whatever the fuck you want and walk out of here. and not worry about anything. But if you do that, you're going to roll. I don't want you. I want him, her, them. So I want you to roll. You don't want that, you don't leave the office. Pretty simple.
Yep.
You go right to federal holding, and it's done. I have taken people out of federal prison and used them. I have taken them out of state prison and used them. So here comes a problem. One hiccup out of many that I ran into. So when I was working for the sheriff's department in organized crime, I ended up landing this cold crime. Ended up with homicides on my desk. And these homicides just smelled to high heaven. And I knew somebody had to be very close to these homicides, and it had to be dope related. So it comes to find out that it was a past narcotics investigator with the sheriff's department. He's in federal holding. I go, grab my partner, who's deceased, John North, God rest his soul. I love him. I loved him. One of my favorite partners. Make a long story short, we go to federal holding facility, and we're going to pull him out. Pull him out and another guy. I'm like, fuck it. We go in there, identify ourselves. We need to see. I'm not going to mention any names.
Yeah.
We need to see so-and-so and so-and-so. Pull them out, do the interview. All of a sudden, about 15 minutes in the fucking interview, here come the feds. It's the FBI. You motherfuckers are under arrest, and it's a pissing cuff. Fuck you, we're going back. Fuck you, fuck this. So the sheriff end up in the sheriff's office with the FBI. I didn't know that they were both confidential informants. I didn't fucking know. Nor did I know that they were working a huge case for the feds. But they were being held in a special location for their protection. The fuck did I know? I just found out where they were. I wanted them for homicide. And I was charging them with homicide. Power of the feds. Feds go, you're not charging them with anything. Don't worry about the homicide. Wild, huh? So that was one of those cases that you shake your head and you can question the power of the government. I was just a little guy in local organized crime. Wasn't with the task force at the time, so I was nothing to these guys. They didn't give two shits about my partner and I.
Yeah,
a little bit about my partner at the time. So John used to be. You know anything about professional wrestling?
a little bit.
Remember a guy who was an icon, man, Dusty Rhodes?
Yeah.
John was Dusty Rhodes' tag team partner.
Oh, wow.
John was fucking humongous. Just this big fucking Viking-looking guy. Intimidating-looking guy. I loved him. Anyway, that was my partner at the time. And to see John get up in the face of some of these FBI agents, I was like, oh, this ain't going to end well. Make a long story short, we didn't make the case. We didn't make the arrest because the FBI intervened. It happened at one other time. I was doing an upper-level narcotics case, large narcotics case. I nailed this guy. He's Colombian. Nail him. I'm on the way. I'm not personally. He's being transported. I didn't transport him at the time. I was working undercover, so he's being transported. They stopped the transport. DEA did. Unload him. He was one of the highest paid confidential informants at the time the DEA had. The fuck did I know? You know, I was told, you ruined our fucking case and this, you know. The problem with law enforcement has always been and continues to be the lack of communication between law enforcement agencies. It's 9/11. But because we didn't know, how the fuck did I know that the feds were doing the same investigation that I had been doing for over a year?
Yeah.
So I will mention, I'll go back to another case. But before I go back to logging them in and how we roll them, I'll tell you another story. Some of these informants don't make it through the process of remaining a confidential informant because some of them meet their demise. So my partner and I at the time were working a RICO case. And we get a call from Myrtle Beach PD. We were on a task force. Myrtle Beach PD gives us a holler. Can you guys get in the car, fly up, meet us up here? Have an informant up here who's asking for you two by name. So, okay. It was a very volatile case. I'm not going to tell you what type of case. I don't want to tip my hand on anything. Case is over, but it was a very extremely violent gang case. By the time we got in the car and left Florida and got midway up to Myrtle Beach, they found her in multiple different pieces.
Oh, wow.
Because they found out she rolled. So it does happen. Same partner. FHP gives us a call. Hey, Bobby. Hey, I'm not going to mention his name because he's now a Fed. Can you come down to the morgue in Miami? I was like, yeah, why? Can you identify two people who have your cards in their pockets? I was like, our business cards? Yeah. I'm like, okay. We go down there. They're laid out in the morgue. We identify them. They show us our, our business cards that they had on them. They were two confidential informants. Unfortunately, they met their demise.
That's what happens.
As much as you try to protect these people, it gets out. Either they run their mouths or the targets put two and two together and it just doesn't end well.
Yeah.
So those were a couple of informants that met their demise on cases that I worked. Let's go back. So once I have you in the office and I lay out everything in front of you and I get the approval of either the state attorney or the federal prosecuting attorney, and we work out a deal. Everything is done in paper. Everything. The problem is when you have an informant, now it's called a confidential informant. Let me tell you what we call it. When we arrest somebody and somebody's out and they're going to roll, we call it a TOB. That they're out on charges on a TOB. You know what that stands for? Telling on a bitch. So that's what we call a TOB. So we always used to say, oh, you got a new TOB? You got a TOB? Oh, he must be out on a TOB. So it's called telling on a bitch. You know, local slang, we used it. Used it frequently. Matter of fact, I still use it. Get them out. It's like having a fucking child because you got to watch these people almost 24/7. Got to know their movement. They got to check in with you at night. They got to check in with you during the day. You got to fucking meet them 2-3 times a day. You got to leave the house when they get in trouble to get them out of trouble. You got to make sure they're not using, even though they're using. We never tested them.
Yeah.
You're throwing them back into the environment in which we took them out of. Right?
Yep.
So they're going to keep using. They're going to keep committing crimes. We understand that. It's the price of doing business. Because remember, like I told you from the very beginning, it's not really who... Lou, how are you? Not really who we want, but we're going to get to a greater good. Right? A bigger fish. Books are done. Numbers are done. Every time I give that person a dime, I have to do the book. The books have to match completely. If I hand you money as a confidential informant, my partner has to be there to witness the handing off of the money and sign off as well. Because if anything's going to get me fucked up, it's going to be mismanaging of state or federal money.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's called investigative funds. When you're rolling somebody and you know you got to have to put money forward. Whatever. Clothes, food, buy money. If they're buying dope, we're paying for the dope. Now they know that they're going to have to wear some type of wire. Wires are very intricate these days. They became intricate in the day. They have to sign paperwork knowing that they're taking the risk of wearing a listening device, and if they get caught and something happens, again, they signed up for it. They know they signed up for it. So that's part of the game and rolling too. But again, remember, are we going to threaten them with their livelihood? Are we going to threaten them with their possessions? If it's a federal case and somebody rolls, the feds will freeze their bank accounts, their assets, everything. You won't be able to piss without me. Nothing. Zero. Now, part of the deal may be you're going to roll, but you're going to give me your brand new Mercedes, your brand new Beamer. You're going to give me all your gold. Because when I arrest you,
yeah.
Let's say you're gold out. Diamonds and fucking bling and gold. I'm taking every fucking piece off you because you got that through illicit funds.
Yep.
I may be nice enough to give you something back at the end if you do a good job, but everything's coming to me.
Yeah.
And when I mean me, I mean the state and the federal government. All right. Give me a minute.
This is an interesting conversation, man.
So let's talk about just a rat. A rat has no social gain. And what I mean by that is he or she has nothing to gain. We don't have charges. Not holding nothing over their head. But they want a rat because, let's see. I'll give you the biggest one. Your ex-old lady. She decides you fucked her over. I'm going to fuck you over. She comes in. Nothing like a woman scorned. And she dimes out every fucking thing that you've been doing. Dealing dope, selling stolen goods, whatever the hell you were doing. She's going to come in and she's going to tell us everything. That's a rat. She has no gain other than she wants to get back at you for whatever reason. Happens all the time. Guys do it too. You push me out of a deal, fuck you. I go tell the cops I'm going to rat on you and everybody else because for whatever reason, I feel that you have slighted me or you were disloyal to me or you were undermining to me, so fuck you. That's a rat. It's a rat bastard because that individual is gaining nothing. Unlike the confidential informant who I just got through taking everything away and now I'm going to roll you. That's what we call rolling. I'm going to roll you against everybody else. That's the two different things. Dealt with a lot of rats. If I was doing some large scale cases, one of the things that I want to look at is rolling not a wife then and there, because remember now, a wife can't testify what a husband does.
Yeah.
If you're divorced, if you were only boyfriend, girlfriend, oh, you're a wealth of information. Because I'm going to pay a visit to her house. I'm going to knock on the door. I'm going to introduce myself. You got a couple of minutes. I'd like to talk to you about so-and-so. And I'm going to sit down. And I'm going to say to her, you know, I know you're upset. That piece of shit, we got him on tape. We got him on video. We got him on surveillance with all of these other women while you guys were together. And he took everything. Do I have anything? Do I got fucking video of him with other women? No. Do I know that I just got through lighting a fire underneath her box? Absolutely. Yep. And the minute I do that is the minute this is going to happen. Let me get in the camera. Mm-hmm. And she is going to spew everything I want to know and continue to spew it and tell me shit that I didn't know that I want to know. Am I going to log her in as a confidential informant? No. I'm going to do an interview. I'm going to document everything she said. I'm going to tell her it was good talking to you. Oh, and by the way, if you tell your ex that we had this conversation, you're going to jail for interfering with an ongoing criminal investigation. Oh, and I see you have children here. Probably don't want to do that. You know, you hear stories about, oh man, law enforcement does some dirty shit. I like to say that I've bent some rules to get to bigger individuals.
Yeah. I mean, you got to do what you got to do to get the thing you got to do accomplished.
Absolutely. But it is, investigations is a game. Rolling people is a game. You have to know, what their weaknesses are before they walk in the room. You got to know their family status. You got to know their financial status. You got to know their families. You got to know their mother, who their father is. If you're going to roll somebody, now when I say, I'm not talking about rolling somebody because they had, an ounce of Coke and now I want the next guy for 3 ounces of Coke. I'm not talking about that level.
Yeah.
Even though you roll a person the same way. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about working large-scale investigations. That being said, very interesting the way that's done. Now, when you're doing like a RICO, if I really want to fuck you right off the bat, I'm going to get a hold of the investigative branch of the IRS who scared the shit out of me. Because all these guys have to do by telling them what you're working, freeze everything you own. I'm sorry. So, money in the bank, house, property you own, boats, cars, jewelry. You can't do shit. You can't sell it, because if you sell it, you go to jail. You can't do nothing. Zero. At the end of the investigation, talking about rolling and stuff, people make deal with us. Let's say we confiscate a couple $100,000, car, and whatsoever. And part of the deal is when you roll, all right, we'll give you back. You sign over your car, you sign over your boat, and I'll give you back, I don't know, I'll give you back a quarter of the. When I say I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about the state or the federal government. Yeah. We'll give you back some of your money. Not all of it, because shit, that's investigative costs. And the state and the government is going to get theirs. Yeah. They're going to get a taste. So that is part of a bargaining chip when you're rolling somebody on a larger level. Money talks, property talks. Now, we've done white slavery cases where we've rolled people, and white slavery does exist. We did a big case in 88, white slavery case. Me and my other partner, who hands down the best partner I ever had in my 30-year career. I don't know if he wants me to give him a shout out on the podcast, but he's now retired, has an unbelievable business. I will give a shout out. Bush Purdue, you will always be my greatest partner. We talk often, but Butch Purdue was somebody who could finish my sentences, somebody who knew what I was going to say prior to. And when it came to tag teaming people to roll them, we had it down to a science. So Butch, I love you. Just a shout out to Butch. I'll make sure that he knows that, he's mentioned in the podcast. So in a nutshell, that is basically how we obtain, roll, and get confidential informants, and how we do them, and how we introduce them. Well, I want to talk about a big case, but I'm going to save that maybe to the next episode. It was called the Caesar Prado Golden Triangle Ford investigation. It was a huge narcotics investigation that I led. That case and the FBI involvement, and it was insane. But I'm gonna see if I can get my partner on that was on for that investigation and talk about that. What a great investigation, really interesting. I think you guys would love it. I have another partner that we did a RICO case with. He is not in the state any longer. I kind of right now. I won't mention his name. As soon as he gets some free time, he said he's going to be on our podcast. We'll do it remotely. I can tell you that he's one of the most famous photographers to the rock stars. He was one of my partners, one of my dearest friends. We played in a band together for years and years and years. We did a case together that was insane. A lot of twists and turns, a lot of violence, but I'm not going to speak until I have my ex-partner on, and we're going to put him on the show as well. We're doing a series on terrorism. Good friend of mine who I served with, Bart Barnack. He's another terrorist expert, overseas together. He served in a capacity overseas as well as anti-terrorism. He's got a off-road Jeep series that's really popular. He's filming all next week. So when they're done filming, he's going to be on our podcast.
Nice.
So guys, please keep looking, keep checking out the podcast. We got some great stories and guests coming up. I think you're going to be intrigued with them. You're going to shake your head. You're going to scratch your head when you're done with these stories that are coming up. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you enjoyed us talking about the knuckle sandwich, which I absolutely enjoyed tonight. As always, we appreciate you guys. Please give us a thumbs up. Please tell us what you like or dislike. Please tell us what you want to see in the future. Tell us about cigars that you want to see. Wednesday night, Smoke Rings, Merritt Island. If you're local, please come down, have a drink with us, shoot the shit with us, get to know us. I think we'll have a really good time. What else do we got? Anything?
I can't think of anything.
Nothing, huh?
Nothing.
What are we smoking next week?
Something good like we always do.
All right.
I figured it out like a couple of days to a day, the day of. So.
All right. I think I'm going to... So Mike and I spoke, and I think we're going to try to get some more people in the cigar industry on as guests. I'm going to leave that to my partner, Mike. As you know, Shirtless Mike has his own show as well, where he has on a lot of the industry people on. But we're going to see if we can get some on our show.
Yeah, most definitely. I got some.
You got some hooks?
I got
some connections?
I got some people I could think of.
All right, cool. That being said, I'm going to close it like I always close it. You could be seated at the table, or you could be on the menu. God bless. Have a great night. Stay safe. See you for episode 17.
Yes.
Later.
Peace out.